honestly, these are probably the fattest Chanel tops we've had at this point. That's the best Zushi. The Verzace needs a little help, but this is also the most stacked of the Bacio we've gotten, and we haven't had the small topping. Small topping happens a lot on candies, where the EC usually gets away, or it gets a little too dry, or it gets a little too wet. They're super, super finicky. So you really, instead of that one big nug up top like this, you'll actually get a nug that kind of looks smaller, and it'll probably be just like that. What's up, guys? Welcome to Grow Room Weekly. We're gonna go through rooms 1 and 2 today. We've got our LED high bay room and our HPS room, so come check it out. Day 37, far red, 5 minutes after lights off. HPS room, of course, our favorite room. We've got 4 different genetics in here. We've got Blue Zushi, Verzace, again, the Candy, the Bacio, and then Chanel at the end.
The lights are really white right now because the guys were finishing some de-leafing over on the Blue Zushi table. They don't like having the reds on, but they like keeping the under canopies on when they defoliate. We recommend at Faven to turn your bottom lights off when de-leafing or pruning. Some workers and some of our guys do prefer having the under canopies on, just because it allows them to really see the penetration between the top lights and the bottom lights and see how much they should pull off. We're a little bit more, I guess, holistic when it comes to how we do our defoliations. Like if you call tech support and ask, hey, how much should I be pulling off? I'm gonna give you an answer, probably really depends on your genetics. It depends on what you're trying to achieve and what your color goals are. And so it's really, really different depending on each grow room, each cultivator, each room to room. And so here they prefer to have these lights on just on the white setting. So I'm gonna switch them back to R8 probably right now. Another thing about this room, the Z genetics are on a different schedule, kind of irrigation wise than we would be doing the rest of the rooms. Everything right now we've scheduled out to be on a 52 ish day timeline, where the Z we're doing a little bit earlier. We haven't dialed in the exact time that we're gonna be harvesting. We were thinking day 42, but then yesterday we were talking about it and the hairs were still pushing a lot. And so kind of been debating back and forth on what we wanna do. It's being switched to its ripening today, and last night, that transitional point, they got the last little bit of defoliation. And so again, I like to use that as like a switch. And so I dried it back a little bit more than it was getting in bulking. And so removed the P2s, and that should be landing today.
This is looking a lot more finished than it did yesterday.
A lot.
Like a lot. Like that was a big jump. So we're sitting here Thursday. We're planning on harvesting Friday. We were gonna take this row with the room next door, room 1, the full spectrum LED top light room. And yesterday we were like, that's not possible. Today, with a little bit of irrigation strategy, drying them out a little bit more, Friday is looking, I mean, it's terpy.
Yeah.
And these Z genetics, the look and amber trichomes, they're all important, but with these Z genetics, the consumer experience, the terp, the bag appeal, the nose, everything, smoke, flavor, really relies on what day you harvest it. So not every genetic is like this, very few are, but anything that is super Skittle, super Z, it is really, really important that you harvest it on a day where the terps are extremely loud, because that comes through in the flavor. So this is looking a little more like, great job tapering it back, that was good. Because we would really like to line it up with the other room so that we can have an easy dry process. I just did not think that would be possible, but this is, we got 3 more days. There's potential.
What do you think about just, rather than going to R8, just bumping them up to R9 right now?
It's day 37?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Switching to under canopies right now to whenever the Wi-Fi decides to load.
Ah. Yeah, very cool.
Something else irrigation-wise, I just want to talk about it in here. Room 4 this last harvest was environmentally a little bit calmer than we typically have our rooms. So due to that, the water content was a little bit higher, and we were really happy with not only the color that we saw out of there, but the yield that we saw out of that last room. And so I know LED rooms are extremely different than HPS rooms, especially with the top light differences and the height constraint differences. But I was trying to run the Verzace a little bit wetter this run to kind of match that similar, but it actually looks a little bit smaller than it did in the other rooms. But interestingly enough, the Bacio, it's not real Bacio, it's way more candy than Bacio typically is. This does look better weight-wise and structure-wise than it has in the past. So we're still figuring out this facility, we're still figuring out the substrate type and everything. But I know next run I'm gonna run this Verzace a little bit drier, like how I was attempting to do in the past. And the Bacio, I don't think we're doing any more of this, but if we do another run, I know I'm gonna try to keep that a little bit wetter, just to see going forward.
Honestly, these are probably the fattest Chanel tops we've had at this point. That's the best Zushi. The Verzace needs a little help, but this is also the most stacked of the Bacio we've gotten, and we haven't had the small topping. Small topping happens a lot on candies, where the EC usually gets away, or it gets a little too dry, or it gets a little too wet. They're super, super finicky. So you really, instead of that one big nug up top like this, you'll actually get a nug that kind of looks smaller, and it'll probably be just like that. So we call that small topping, and it kind of shrinks on itself. But this is actually one big nug. So Alex has done a really good job irrigating. These candies are not easy. We're not a super big fan of this one. We run it basically so you guys can have a good side-by-side, because we know a lot of you guys are running candies. But we're hopefully gonna cut this out very, very soon. It's not our favorite. It's not really what we wanna be growing. It's not what we wanna be smoking, to be honest with you. But it is a great genetic to learn on, because the hardest genetics, the most difficult genetics are what make you a better cultivator. So it's really, really good to have this in the stable. It keeps you honest, keeps you on your toes. This is almost like the canary in the coal mine of a genetic. When this thing starts turning or something goes wrong and it starts going the wrong way, it's the first genetic to show that there may be something going on. And if you can catch it early, then you can kind of save the other genetics in the room. So it's the canary in the coal mine. It's the most sensitive. It keeps you on your toes. It's good to have, but we don't love smoking it. And honestly, the market for these is just tanking across the US, so it's not really even worth cultivating anymore. But we're getting it in and out of our rotation.
It is what a lot of people like to see. It's the purple candy, like very nice bag appeal look to it.
It's a great genetic, it's just not our thing.
One thing real quick while we're right here that I want to mention, just like I was talking about in the other room, some of the yellowing on the serrations, like that was what I was talking about, seeing this in there. No matter how much lack of stress that we've tried to have on the Chanel, every single time it's had that yellow tone to the edge of the serrations and like some very, very slight tip burning on the edges of them. But and it happens usually pretty early on, but we haven't seen that in room 3 thus far. There's a few leaves here or there, especially some of the older ones that have that sign of yellowing, just as a direct comparison from earlier.
If you want to check this out, this Blue Zoo, it's only our second run with it, but it's so much better than the first run. And you can just see like on my glove how just greasy this all is. It's just grease. It's not even like that sticky, it just gets super greasy. We're excited for this run. Hopefully this smokes really, really well. This is what we'll probably be entering in a couple of competitions here soon, so stay tuned.
One thing I could add about room 3 that I forgot to mention earlier is we had an issue with our AC and it dropped down to 63 degrees last night. It's not supposed to be that cold, but
What'd you do?
I don't know, dude. We got it back up after it was like steadily going down. It wasn't that low the whole time. The front of the room was a little bit warmer, like 65, still colder than we would like it. It hit 63 at the lowest point and we were able to make it effectively climb all the way back up, but it was colder temperatures than we would have liked for about 3 hours and 15 minutes. Something that I really want to make sure that we do a good job of when we're doing these talks, doing these walkthroughs, is showing the real sides of like cultivation. Most of the time when you see people show off their facilities on IG or like YouTube, A lot of the time they want to show you the best parts and they don't want to show you the messed up parts. But when you go tour a facility in person, a lot of cultivators, like right when you pull up to their rooms, are like, hey, just so you know, before you go in here, I want to let you know, like, this section's not looking the best, whatever reasoning it is. And it's real, it's part of life, it's part of cultivating. Like, not every run is perfect all the time. Sometimes electrical things happen, sometimes AC stuff happens. Like, we lost power probably about 2 weeks ago for a couple hours. And so it's one of those things where we want to show the real side of cultivation, and we want to show what it means to actually cultivate and deal with the problems, and not just show you the best result of anything. Like, if we mess something up, we want to be honest and we want to show that. Like, it's important. It's important to not think everything is this perfect life all the time, because every grower goes through challenges, and especially when you talk to them in person, the director of cultivation is always ready to just like start talking about the problems that they're dealing with, but it's not something that's shared openly online too much. So it's a point that we want to do, is like be reliable in terms of our information and what's going on.
Day 56 in here. This is our room 1. This is the far red treatment before lights on. This is the room where we have not seen that impact from far red at all. Our other treatments have all been end of day treatments. 5 minutes of far red after lights off. This being before lights on, we just haven't seen that increase in growth velocity, faster ripening. We can zoom in here in a second, but there's a really huge lack of color in this room. And we've been pulling the levers that traditionally cultivators use, irrigation strategy to pull color, and temperature decreases to pull color, or temperature differentials to pull color. But with far red in all the other rooms, HBS, mixed light, top light, and our other LED room, we haven't need to be stressful at all in our environments or our irrigations to pull an extremely dark color out of the plants. So this is very, very unique in that this is our first run without great bag appeal on the color side. I do think this is extremely high quality, but we have not seen that color that has come in with all the other genetics. Like I said, this is day 56. Typically, we'd have already harvested this room if it was being impacted by far red. Our far red target harvest dates, for a typical 9-week strain, we have now backed that down to 50 to 52 days. That's our harvest target window, and these genetics would have fallen in that, but we aren't gonna take this room until day 60. So we've got 4 more days to go. Overall, really good first run in this room. It's great to have a baseline without far red, so that the next run, when we employ the end of day far red treatment, or when we deploy it, we'll be able to really have a side-by-side, and we're gonna get some good, just standalone bud shots of what the bud looks like at day 56, color, density, quality, all the above, and what it looks like on the next run when we harvest it at day like 50 or 52. Likely, you're gonna see a massive color difference. We learned that far red is extremely valuable to cultivators, but it has to be applied in the right way. That's what this room really taught us, because we would assume that if end of day treatment worked, beginning of day treatment would work. That is not the case. But we've left far red off in the chroma units the entire day, during daytime hours. It has never been on. It has only come on 5 minutes before lights on every day. We've got Chanel, Verzace, Chanel. And this is the room that we also lost a lot of leaf health early, just because we were struggling to get our feet under us when we took over the facility. Bud quality in here is great. I think the yield is gonna be very surprising. So we're super happy. It's one of those runs where like you kind of fight the entire time. And we're a couple days until harvest, and like we can kind of feel that finish line. So it's very rewarding. On the next flip, we're gonna be running the same genetics. We're gonna be running 5 minutes of far red after lights off, just to do a solid comparison of the two. You're always gonna have variables between run to run, but at least it's in the same room, same genetics, same irrigation, same inputs, everything. And same use of chromas during the day, but again, we're changing the far red treatment end of day. It's a beautiful room. It's felt like such a long time. It's only been 60 days, but like it feels so long compared to the 50-52 that we've been harvesting at. And so it's like, it's almost a liability to go to flower for 60 days. Like so many more things can go wrong in 60 days than 50. So when we look at, as growers, as mitigating, our job is to mitigate issues as much as possible. We're really just doing damage control to try to get these plants to our end goal at the end. Cultivators spend a ton of time trying to make the perfect environment for these plants. And these plants have historically been through like very, very stressful, upbringings. We haven't really been growing cannabis at scale indoors for very long. I mean, you're talking max 15 years, right? But we spend so much time trying to alleviate the stressors of this plant. And this run had a ton of stressors, a ton early. And you can just see the quality shining through. There's certain types of stressors and cues that you give this plant that really gives you more quality in the end. I'm not saying to be, go crazy with it, right? But, we do spend a lot of time making sure these plants are as comfortable as possible, but oftentimes that only creates a lot of yield, but not a lot of quality in the end. So we've got pretty much yield and quality in this run. Leaf health was poor from week 2. But it's just food for thought, because these are the runs that you really that make you a better cultivator, because you can cut your teeth and you can't give up on this run. But day after day, you have to come into this room and look at poor leaf health. These plants are pissed off. You're not exactly sure how to run these lights, these top lights, because they're new. Not exactly how to run this room, because this is our first run in this room. So these are the runs that really make you a better cultivator. And these plants can handle a lot. So kind of take it easy on yourself. Have some grace with yourself. This is a hard job. A lot of times it's thankless. A lot of times you harvest and you're gone, and maybe you get to smoke some buds from the harvest, but it's out and it's sold. It's tough. It's a really, really tough game. There's a lot of other industries that are easier than what we do, but we keep coming back because, next week we'll have new plants in here and we got to do it all over again. But it's dank. I can't wait to smoke it. That's our wrap for room 1. Harvest in a few days. This will be the last update on it. The next time you see room 1, it'll probably be empty. But after that, we'll have fresh plants in it. And we'll kind of show you guys step by step what it looks like going from transplant all the way to end of flower with a different far red treatment.
All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We really appreciate you guys liking, subscribing. Any comments you leave, any questions that you have, we would love to get to those. Let us know what you want to see, because we don't know what everybody would like to see in these episodes. So please, please, please tell us, and we would love to showcase it. Alex and I, just really, really happy that we have this platform to do this, and thanks again, guys. This is great. Let's just keep this running up. Smile.